and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 battle report. Today, very special game because coming back on the channel we've got Scrag Guard coming back for a rematch. Last time he was on, bringing his Star Wars themed Imperial Guard up against the Tyranids, and it was a win for the Tyranids. So Scrag Guard's coming back, hungry for some revenge. Tyranids he's going to be taking on again. This time he's going to be bringing his Eldar though, and it is another Star Wars themed army, which I know from the comments on the last video we did together, you guys all really enjoyed that. You thought that was a really cool looking army, and I have to say this one as well was another cracking looking army. We're doing some rolling off, and in terms of terrain, talk about terrain first. I think we've got this really cool lava kind of factory themed setup. So in terms of it, we've got down here, which is going to be the Eldar end of the board. I'll talk about that in a second. We've got these kind of larger buildings broken up with some chain link fences, and then this large sort of element of sort of big factory of a causeway over here. And then, oh yeah, and we should say as well, nice little Star Wars detail there. That's fantastic. Kind of around here we got this sort of slightly more broken up ground with lots of lava, and then these sort of larger rocks, again breaking things up. This zone sort of separated by these kind of chain link fences, and we got another sort of building here with some more open ground down here. So fantastic looking board. I'm really excited to play on it actually. Really cool gaming map that Scrag Guard's brought down, and lovely terrain pieces. Some really nice little bits of detail there. So yeah, fantastic. We are going to be playing kill points, purge the alien. So no mucking around with objectives today, just trying to take each other out. Perhaps it's a bit of a grudge match after the last time we played. You know, hungry for revenge against the Tyranids. The Eldar have come to do the job the Guard couldn't. You know, not messing around, just purge the aliens, purge the Tyranids. We shall see. It's going to be Eldar deploying this end of the board, and we're doing hammer and anvil. So Tyranids will be deployed up here, and Eldar down here. We'll show you deployment in a second after we've done the two armies. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add. Looking forward to this one. Let's have a look at the two forces. Right, so this is the 2,000 point Tyranid list that we're going to be running today. Now, if you've been watching the most recent battle reports on this channel, you'll notice this is the exact same list. Nothing has changed at all from the list that took on the Space Wolves in the previous battle report. And I won't spoil the result in case you haven't seen that one. You can go back and watch it. But it was a really tight battle, really close, really nasty, powerful Space Wolves army. And this unit, these units here did really well against it. And we won't spoil the result. But yeah, worth checking out. And although I like to mix it up, use my different armies on the channel. In the next one, won't be doing Tyranids, we'll do something different. Just wanted to run the exact same list again, just to sort of see how they do in another battle report, because, you know, really enjoyed playing them the other day, so you can see how they get on. And if you're not aware, this is my Unbound Tyranid force. So in my opinion, I never normally do Unbound. In fact, this is the only army I've ever run that is Unbound, this particular list. Normally I always stick to Force Org or Formations, or just keep it bound, Battle Forged. But in my opinion, there's two different types of Unbound. There's stupid, broken, kind of spammy lists that are just silly. And then there's stuff like this where you do it to fit a theme, and it's not actually that particularly overpowered or anything. Essentially, we've got 2 HQs, 2 troops, but then we've got 4 heavy support. So it's very close to being bound. You know, if I was an absolute stickler and I refused to do it, I could easily just go, okay, we'll drop that and take a troops choice, or take a elite's choice, or take, you know, something else. But I just, to fit with the theme, wanted to get all of my monstrous creatures in because it's the Nidzilla list. So that's why we've done Unbound here, and it's quite a nice little army, I think. Fits a really nice theme. Anyway, what have we got? So we've got a Hive Tyrant, who's the Warlord. His Warlord trait is rubbish, that won't come into play. He's got Catalyst, Paroxysm, and Dominion. He's got Wings, obviously. He's got 2 sets of Twin Link Devourers. And identical twin, exactly the same. 2 sets of Twin Link Devourers, Wings. In terms of powers, Paroxysm, Onslaught, Dominion, identical. Then we've got an Exocrine. Then we've got 3 Carnifexes in a Brood. They have adrenal glands, and they all have Twin Link Devourers, Brain Leech Worms. Same as these guys. So lots and lots of DACA in this army. Then 2 2 more heavy support choices, 2 Trigons, and every single monstrous creature in this army has regeneration. So regeneration, 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 regeneration. You get it. And then round it off, 2 troop choices. We've got 2 broods of warriors. They've got adrenal glands and flesh hooks. And in terms of upgrades, the 2 in the back of each brood have lash whips and bone swords. So that is the list. As I said, some people hate Unbound. I would include myself in that. I never do Unbound, ever, really. This is the one exception. It's just because it fits that kind of nice narrative, fluffy kind of idea of, you know, all the monstrous creatures. Which, like, again, normally when I play Tyranids, I have a mix of the smaller bugs in with the bigger ones. But it's just kind of thematic. I just kind of like the idea of this kind of big, hulky, monstrous creatures in a list. And it's really fun to play as well. Low model count, which is, I don't know, most Tyranids players say that's the bane of your life, having to move millions of little guys. So yeah, fun list to play. Can't wait to see how they get on today. Right, so back on the channel, Scragguard's bringing his Star Wars themed army. So last time we played, it was Imperial Guard, or, you know, space, Star Wars themed Imperial Guard. This is his other list, his other army, and it's his Eldar. And it's also Star Wars themed. So looking around, we've got stormtroopers on their scout speeders. We've got X-wings, all sorts of stuff. So just yeah, really fantastic looking army. I know for a fact that last time with his Star Wars Imperial Guard, loads and loads of comments on that saying how much they really enjoyed that list and how it looked really cool. I think this one as well. I mean, just look at that, for example. Really lovely Star Wars themed Eldar army. So let's talk us through it.
Right. So for Warlord is Kylo Ren. He is a Farseer on a Windride jet bike, so Farseer Skyrunner. He has the Shard of Anaris, the Phoenix Gem, and he is in with one of my 5 Windrider units, all with scatter lasers, so 4 scatter lasers in each pack. And then behind them we've got Darth Maul, who is a Spirit Seer, and he has the Kurov's Bow, and he also has the Spirit Stone of Anathlan and the Fire Saber. And he's in with my Wraith Blades with Ghost Axe and Force Shield. They're my Royal Guard, and they are inside a Droid Hover Tank, which is a Wave Serpent with Twin-linked Bright Lance, Shrieking Cannon underslung, Starred Engines, Vectored Engines, Hollow Fields, and Spirit Stones. And then over across we've got my Wraith Guard with D-Scythes, my Super Battle Droids, and they are in a Wave Serpent with exactly the same setup. And in my fast attack slot we've got a X-Wing Fighter Crimson Hunter Exarch, which we stole from the Rebels to do reconnaissance. And then beside them we've got the Lord of War, the Rancor, a Wraith Knight with Ghostglaive and Scatter Shields.
Let's have a look at the little Luke Skywalker he's munching on. So yeah, just munching on little Luke Skywalker. Fantastic.
And then what we've also got is for the Psychic, we've got Psychic Maelstrom, Levitation, Abduction Mechanicum and a Sail for the Farseer. And the Spirit Seer has rolled and got Psychic Shriek, Shrouding and Invisibility. My Warlord trait, which has let me use 2 of my units as Scout, so I'm going to be using my Wraith Guard and my Wraith Blades.
So as I said, absolutely fantastic army. Like, I'm loving the details. I always love it when someone does something creative and a bit different with their armies, and this is just absolutely fantastic to look at. I mean, I love the I know lots of you subscribers loved it as well, the Guard themed one. This one as well, just as cool. So we'll definitely have to do an Apocalypse game someday where we have Star Wars Guard and Star Wars Eldar teaming up against one of my armies. That's going to happen at some point. But yeah, great to have it. Great to have a new Star Wars themed army back on the channel. Really good to see. Interesting to see. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Tyranids, spoilers for the previous game, still undefeated with this Nidzilla list. And this is apparently a really nasty army, so it's going to be a real bloodbath today. So can't wait. Right, so both sides have now deployed. Basically, Tyranids, they've thrown themselves behind this big bit of terrain here, and the 2 Hive Tyrants are deployed over there. In terms of the Eldar, we've got jet bikes all round here. More jet bikes back here. Jet bikes everywhere for days. 2 Wave Serpents are here, and the Wraith Knight is here. But in terms of these guys, you can see not too much of the Tyranids can be seen over here. Bit of a clearer view, perhaps. But yeah, that is it. It's going to be Eldar turn 1 coming right up. Reserves both sides. The Eldar have got their flyer. Anything else in reserve for the Eldar?
No.
And for the Tyranids, it's just the 2 Trigons. So without further ado, I think we're ready for turn 1. The only thing is, can the Tyranids seize the initiative on a 6? See. A 4. No, seize the initiative. So, without further ado, Eldar turn 1 coming right up. Right, Eldar movement on their turn 1 is done. So we had they're Wind Riders, right? Not yeah, they've moved up here. These guys have moved up here. These guys jumped up into the terrain. Did think one was going to kill himself, but then the armor save was made. This wing of the army is just stayed put. So that completely is Eldar movement straight on into the psychic phase. So that's the end of shooting and psychic, and indeed the end of Eldar turn 1 actually. In terms of psychic phase, absolutely nothing. All of the powers were out of range or kind of pointless, so didn't use any. Then what we had was this unit of Wind Riders were here. That unit of Wind Riders were here. They were only in range of the warriors. Fired at them, peppered the warriors with a bunch of shooting, killed 2 warriors. So they didn't get first blood, which is the only real concern there. I'm not too worried about losing the warriors. And then we had a 12-inch jump move here in the assault phase, just jumping over here. And then an 11-inch jump move here, they've just jumped back. So what you've had is the Eldar mostly haven't moved, they've just popped up, done a little bit of shooting, then run away. Typical Eldar. And then over here they've sort of jumped into cover over in this neck of the woods. So yeah, that is turn 1 for the Eldar done. Time now for Tyranid turn 1. Right, end of Tyranid movement. So the Horde hasn't moved. Absolutely no point moving. If we move out, we'll go 6. All of our guns are 24. All of theirs are 36. There's a massive bit of no man's land. We'll be slaughtered before we even can make it to that point. So absolutely no point moving. Just be a joke, really. So we've just stayed put. Let them come to us. They've got the mobility. Then over here, these guys have pivoted 90. Begun swooping in this direction. They won't be in range either. Twin Devourer's only 18-inch range. So yeah, that's not too much going to happen there. We'll hopefully be able to get some psychic off, but yeah, I think turn 1 might be a bit of a dud, to be honest. Right, so psychic phase. So we tried to cast Paroxysm over there, denied the witch roll, successfully blocked it. Then we cast Catalyst onto both the Hive Tyrants, which means they went off successfully. So they both have Heal No Pain, which comes in pretty useful. And finally, Onslaught cast on the first one, so he can now run and then shoot, which means he might actually be able to get himself in range. But if he rolls rubbish on the run move, that won't happen. So we'll have to see. Right, so that's the end of Tyranid turn 1. What an uneventful turn. Nothing has happened at all, really. So in terms of shooting, none of this stuff is in range. And as I said, nothing to do with being sort of boring or sort of conservative in playing. It's just ridiculous. If we move out here, all of this stuff is 36-inch range. These guys have 18-inch range, and they've got how many scatter lasers of strength 6? It would be a bloodbath. There's absolutely no point. So we've just had to basically stay put. Over here, these guys are not in range either. Do get a run move on this guy using Onslaught. Hopefully he could run up, but a 4-inch run. So that was pretty rubbish. Rolling 2d6 because he's a monstrous creature running, but well, he's a swooping flyer. But yeah, so no, they couldn't shoot. These guys couldn't shoot. Nothing's happened. So let's see what the Eldar do on their turn 2. Right, so movement for the Eldar on their turn 2. They have started moving now. Wraith Knight is pushed up on this flank over here. Got the 2 Wave Serpents moving up the board, and the Jet Bikes as well. All of the Wind Riders all come out here, and this guy's on the end. They've also moved out. So just a general advance along the whole front, really, there. Right, movement for the Tyranids. Really actually weird. Never actually had to play my Tyranids like this before, but you've got to be tactical. We were hunched up here, and from that angle, basically impossible to see this guy. Yet he can do a 12-inch sort of move next turn. So there a chance if we stayed there, we'd get off some really, really ineffective, can't really see with people shooting. Then he's just going to hop over, then he's going to charge with his D-sword. So no point hanging around there really. Might as well just back up, staying in line of this, hopefully shield ourselves from some of their shooting. They keep jumping back as well, so hopefully they won't really be in range. So just sort of backing off, bringing him on till we can bring our actual real firepower to bear on him. So that's what we decided to do there. Over here, we have gone on the offensive. So this Hive Tyrant, he was grounded, so gun swooping again. He could, if he'd been closer, he could have just in glide moved up and maybe got off an assault, but decided to go back into that fly mode. Did regain a wound, so he's back up to 3 wounds, and he's just hopped himself over here. So you can bring all his firepower to bear there. This guy as well, dropping up as well. So hopefully we can get us some good shooting. Anyway, time for the psychic phase. So in terms of psychic phase, we've not been reporting psychic phase every time. So like on the last turn, Eldar psychic phase was non-existent. We're only going to report it if there's something to report. And here we have got Catalyst off, so they have Feel No Pain again. That come in handy last turn. He would have taken an extra wound if it wasn't for that Feel No Pain. And then over there, we tried to cast Paroxysm, but failed to manifest. So not too much to report. We will only continue reporting Psychic if there is stuff to report. So if we skip it, just assume nothing happened. So typical Eldar, we're in the middle of Tyranid shooting. Firing with his Twinning Devourers, inflicted 10 hits, or 11 hits, of which there was 9 wounds. This is the armor saves. So 9 saves, just made casually, like it was no big deal. Typical Eldar. Right, it's been a bad round of shooting for the Tyranids, to be honest. So over here, again, trying to get as much distance, trying to lead him on, pulling back a couple of inches here, which run moves. Over here, really disappointing. So as you saw, 9 armor saves being made on these guys. Yeah, really disappointing. Over here, bit better luck. So we had a pretty disappointing round of shooting. I think we only inflicted about 7 wounds, which with, 3s re-rolling, then 2s, you'd expect, on a good roll, maybe get a bit more than that. I've seen it get more than that pretty consistently. But even so, reduced them down to 1 guy. So on a disappointing roll for the Tyranids, we still managed to reduce him to 1. On quite a good roll for the Tyranids, 9 wounds, didn't reduce him to any. So that shows how disappointing this was. And that one as well could have gone a bit better. So realistically, you'd expect, 12 shots, hit on 3s, re-roll in, wounded on 2s, going to inflict 9 or 10 saves. You'd expect, squads of 4, you'd expect one of them to be taken out at least. And this one hangs in there, made his morale afterwards, and this squad remains untouched. So in terms of it, yeah, that's really disappointing, to be honest. But yeah, that's how it has to be. So into turn 3 for the Eldar. Right, so movement then for the Eldar on their turn 3. In terms of it, so first of all, Crimson Hunter, the X-Wing, has arrived from reserve. That was one thing we actually forgot to mention. On turn 2, he failed to show up, and neither of the Trigons showed up. So finally a reserve has come on for either side, just forgot to mention that. Over here, the Wraith Knight has jumped 12 inches here. Wave Serpents have pushed up as well. These guys have just stayed put. These guys have stayed put. This fella's stayed put. And these guys have jumped up here. And this guy's jumped up there. So there's a lot of firepower coming the Tyranid way. And yeah, we'll see how things develop on their psychic phase. Right, so in terms of psychic phase then, this unit here jumped down off there using levitation. Did lose a guy to terrain. Then they tried to cast some kind of psychic shooting attack on the Hive Tyrant, but he denied it with his Deny the Witch roll. Right, so shooting for the Eldar's done. I feel we've got off pretty lightly, the Tyranids, actually. It's not been too bad at all. So fire here from these squads, directed at this Hive Tyrant. Knocked him down by a wound, made his grounding check afterwards, so that's not too bad, actually. That's not too bad at all. Here, we had a bit of fire at this Hive Tyrant. Didn't really do anything. In fact, I think it was this squad firing it. The Hive Tyrant while this squad fired this one. Crimson Hunter then fired at him. Declared he was going to jink before he started firing. Knocked 2 wounds off him, but at the same time, the Bright Lances rolled a double 1. So actually got off pretty lightly. He did have a jink and a Feel No Pain after that, so he could potentially have negated them. But yeah, pretty good. Over here, what we had was The Wraith Knight has run. He's got here, so he can potentially be countercharged, but he's pretty hard. I don't think he's too concerned. These guys, because of the series of upgrades they had on them, they then turbo boosted up here and up here. Didn't immobilise themselves, which was good. Then they fired with their weaponry, and we had this guy opened up on the Exocrine, took 2 wounds off him, and then this guy fired at the remaining warrior and took him out, which is first blood and a kill point. So that was a good result for the Eldar. That's pretty good. But it's actually an interesting point in the game, actually. It's really too close to call as we're about to move into Tyranid turn 3, because what we're going to have here is we're going to have some counter charging, so that's going to be interesting to see how that develops. These guys are going to start trying to do a bit of work now, but then they'll probably be countered to their counter by these pretty tough Wraith units up in there, so that's going to be interesting how this develops. Down here, both the Tyranids, they've both been blooded, but at the same time, not too effective in terms of the scatter laces on them. Strength 6, but while they're flying, they need 6s, then 4s, so they're quite difficult to take out, these Hive Tyrants. And as we saw with just that quite disappointing round of shooting, they can really cripple a squad. I mean, that was just beyond ridiculous, but at the same time, they start bringing some of their firepower to bear and they can stay alive. They could do some real serious work down here. So yeah, actually it's turning into a really interesting game as we move into Tyranid turn 3. Right, movement on Tyranid turn 3. So first thing that happened, coming off from reserve, both the Trigons are shown up. This guy's popped up here. Is vulnerable to the shooting there. It's going to be an issue, but at the same time, is going to cause quite a big distraction down there. So hopefully that can, pay off. Over here, these guys pivoted and they've flown off down here. Got to take out that Crimson Hunter really, but see, it's not the most durable Eldar flyers tend to be, so we're not sure if it will need both of them. Might just survive, I don't know. Down here, second Trigon's popped up. Again, not ideal, he's going to pop up, he's probably going to get countercharged at some point, but at the same time, he's going to cause a bit of havoc, a bit more of a distraction. They're big, tough, multi-wound monstrous creatures, they can cause a bit of mayhem. And then down here, these guys moving up, looking to get their charges off, going to try and take out that Wraith Knight. We know he's going to be difficult, but got to try our best. And this guy's staying put so we can make advantage of his ballistic skill. Should say as well, both the Hive Tyrants have regained wounds, and this fella as well has regained a wound. So all of the monstrous creatures will gain one there. Let's see what happens in the Psychic phase. Right, so Psychic phase for the Tyranids. Pretty good one. We had Catalyst casting these guys again. Just keep getting that Feel No Pain. Worth its weight in gold. Paroxysm on these guys, reduce them to weapon and ballistic skill 1. So that's pretty handy. It's nullified that squad for next turn. Anyway, without further ado, time for the shooting phase. Right, so shooting for Tyranids done. It's been a bad round of shooting, to be honest. Very disappointing. So, first thing here, bioelectrical pulse. Inflicted 2 wounds, 2 saves made. That's not too bad. Here, both of these guys opened up on the Crimson Hunter. This guy, he declared he was drinking beforehand. But this guy got a pen and a glance go through, so he's down to 1 whole point. The pen crew shaken, so he's snap firing, but he was snap firing anyway. Over here, the Hive Tyrant here, snap fired, managed to get 1 to go through, got a glance, but then he made it with his Jinx save, so hangs in there on 1 whole point, which is very disappointing actually. Should really have taken him out, but he's managed to get away with it. Some good save making. Over here, really disappointing. So firing the electro pulse did nothing as you'd expect. Plasma streams, 4 hits, but strength 7 of the plasma on T8 meant that it was very few wounds and he made an invulnerable save, so disappointing. Then over here, all of these guys, 36 shots, inflicted tons and tons and tons of hits. Went to go to wound, strength 6 on T8, needing 6s, rolled about probably like 20 dice, got 1 6. So managed to take a wound off of that 1 6, so he's down to 5. But yeah, that could have gone a lot better, could have reduced him down. So we are going to have to try and take him on in combat now, which isn't going to go well for us, but he's going to assault us next turn anyway, so there's no point in retreating anymore. So yeah, really disappointing with that round of shooting. Should have killed something at least. But yeah, assault phase coming right up. Right, so disappointing combat there for the Tyranids. So had hoped to get these guys in with their bone swords. They could be nasty against monstrous creatures potentially. But these guys got in, so they get D3 Hammer of Wraths, potential for 9, strength 9 hits, and they hit automatically, so that could do some potential damage. Rolled all 1s and 2s, so it was only 3, and then I think only 1 of them wounded, so that was really disappointing. Got off a bit lightly from the D weapon, so he's using his D sword. Did kill one of the Carnifexes and knock this one down to 2 wounds. But then these guys, 8 attacks, strength 10 because of adrenal glands, AP 2. Again, potential to do some serious damage. Made a bunch of invulnerable saves, made a bunch of other saves, only took 1 wound. So really disappointing. I mean, I know that the Wraith Knight's obviously a really tough, gargantuan, monstrous creature. It was never going to be easy to take him out, but at the same time we could have realistically hoped to do better than that. So yeah, really disappointing turn for the Tyranids. Nothing's really going for us at the moment as we move into turn 4 for the Eldar. Right, so movement is done for the Eldar. Of course, Wraith Knight locked in combat. This has just popped down 6, and these guys have jumped out 6. They're going to bring some pain down on these guys. Over here, these guys disembarked down here. None of them are going to be able to assault because these Wave Serpents aren't, of course, assault vehicles. And then after these guys jumped out, this thing just moved on down here. Round here, lots of the bikes, they're on the move. So these guys moved over here, these guys moved over here, these guys moved over here. Crimson Hunter came on this way, then pivoted 90, Vector Dancer, and these guys pivoted as well. So not a great deal to report there. Psychic and shooting coming right up. Right, and then Psychic phase over here, this guy casted Invisibility on this unit, and he's casted the Shrouding on himself. Shrouding probably won't come into effect, but he had some spare warp charge. Psychic Shriek was denied by the Tyranids. Invisibility might come in handy on these guys though, it's very good psychic power. Eldar shooting on their turn 4, so down here these guys have got like D flamers basically, so that was, you know, 5 strength D flamers. Admittedly the 6s aren't that D6, but it's D3 wounds basically for each one, unless you roll a 1. And they just, yeah, AP1, just eviscerated them. And then over here, everything fired at the Hive Tyrants. So Crimson Hunter here firing, snap firing, but firing at this guy. All of the bikes firing, even the Wave Serpent firing. Everything they had back at them. 1 wound off this guy, 1 wound off this guy. So both of them are back down to 2. And neither of them are grounded. So yeah, could have gone better for the Eldar, I think. But at the same time, pretty nasty stuff down there. Then just reporting this close combat here then. So going first, the Wraith Knight cut down the other Carnifex. This Carnifex on his own hitting actually took 2 wounds off him. So that Wraith Knight is now down to 2 wounds. So even though yeah, this is a wipeout, has done well with that Carnifex on his own. But yeah, interesting to see what happens as we move into Tyranid turn 4. Right, so in terms of movement for Tyranids on this turn, well, what we've got is this Trigon has moved here trying to face off against the Wraith Knight. Now, is he going to win that fight? Probably not. Wraith Knight is initiative 5, Trigon is only initiative 4. The Wraith Knight's got a D weapon, so if that Wraith Knight rolls hot and gets a 6, I mean he only got 4 attacks, but at the same time if he gets a 6 then the Trigon's going to be dead very, very quickly. So have got to factor that in. So will that go well for us? Maybe, probably not. But I felt it best to sort of heroically try and take out that big bad monster than sort of trying to take out these targets. So he's going to try and go out in some style. Over here, this Trigon has moved 6 down here. Measured it up, he's got about a 9-inch charge there, so it's possible we could get there. And then these guys, they've pivoted and flown off down here. But with their 360 arcs, they can, of course, fire back at some of these targets around here and hopefully do a bit of damage. So, in terms of regeneration as well, that Carnifex picked up a wound, and the Trigon, Hive Tyrant, also up to 3 again. So that regeneration, in my opinion, I think regeneration, it's not really worth it if you just take it on sort of one random model. It's probably not really worth it to do it across an army, but because it's thematic across the whole army, this actually comes in pretty handy. You end up regenerating a lot of wounds because everyone's got it. So anyway, without further ado, time now for the Psychic phase. Very quickly then, in terms of the Psychic phase, Hive Tyrants, you can just about see them over there. Paroxysm on that squad reduced them to weapon with skill 1, good result, and Catalyst once again cast on them. Right, so shooting phase for the Tyranids been alright, been mixed. So in terms of down here, absolutely nothing. Over here, Hive Tyrant, 360 degree arc because he's a flying monster creature, firing straight back at the Crimson Hunter, took him out and then some. Crashed and burned, hit into this squad, took out one of them. And then the second Hive Tyrant fired up and reduced that squad to 50% of its capacity. So that is first actual victory point for the Tyranids. These two units, they both had to morale check because they've lost, you know, quarter of their, well in that case half their squad. They both made it. But in terms of sort of the Tyranid position now, looking, I mean, it's very bad down there. They've definitely been overrun there, but now the real threat to these flying monstrous creatures was the Crimson Hunter. This scatter lasers from these guys not been too effective. So now that's down. Bearing in mind the game can end at the end of next turn, so they've not got a great deal of time left, but they can now basically just fly around, not unchallenged because they can fire up at them, but basically very they basically, the sky is the Tyranids essentially, so they can fly around and wreak some havoc. You've got that squad, remember playing kill points on one guy, that squad's down to 2, they could be very easy targets. So the Eldar are definitely thinning out a bit. I'll still say the favour is with them, but at the same time, it depends how long the game goes on for. If the game goes on for sort of turns 6 and 7, you bear in mind that's another 3 turns of that Tyranid shooting, and the Eldar getting weaker each time. We'll have to see. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But now it's time for the assault phase. Right, so the risk didn't quite pay off, but at the same time it could have gone worse. Came very close. So combat here, Wraith Knight, he's put down that Carnifex to 1 wound. Carnifex knocked off another wound, putting him down to 1 wound. So he's on 1 wound now, that Wraith Knight. Then the Trigon hit him with his attacks, inflicted 2 more wounds, AP2, made his 5-up invulnerable safes. Or it might have been the feel no pain that he gets. But yeah, just about hung in there on 1 wound. So while the Wraith Knight had the potential just to, you know, if his D-Sword just hack down the Trigon and, you know, completely just dominate him, well, there was the potential for that, and it didn't happen. At the same time, the Tyranids feel a bit unlucky. They could have taken him out there, and that would have been 2 victory points. Things went better here, though. Made a charge in, smashed into the jet bikes, and just destroyed them all. And then he's consolidated back. I mean, he could consolidate this way, but sort of trying to chase down these jet bikes, it's a bit of a fool's game, really. We're about to go into turn 5. He's moved off this way. He's going to see if he can hang around to get a line breaker. Which again might be a bit of a fool's game, but hey, he's not done bad. Got a victory point by taking out his jet bikes. Run a bit thin on the ground, the jet bikes. There's this squad, reduced down slightly. There's this squad, which are also reduced down slightly. And then there's these kind of tiny bits of squads here. So those, if the game goes on, we've got 1 more turn guaranteed. We could have another 3. As I said, if those Hive Tyrants keep flying around, start thinning out these targets, it's going to be interesting how the game plays out. I mean, these guys are basically guaranteed to be gone, but at the same time, interesting as develops. So that was the end of Tyranid turn 4. Time now for Eldar turn 5. Eldar turn 5, and the game can end at the end of this turn, so a very important turn. Over here, just sort of surrounding the last of the monstrous creatures. Over this way, this unit swung around, going to fire at the Trigon. Both the Wave Serpents have flown down here, also looking to fire at the Trigon. And the last of these bikers, they've sort of gone to face up against those Hive Tyrants over there. So shooting and Psychic done. In terms of Psychic, invisibility up on the Trigon. Not the Trigon, sorry, I'm on about the Wraith Knight. Then over here, in terms of shooting, basically everything. All of the jet bikes, all of the Wave Serpents, everything. They threw just all of it at that Hive Tyrant who is on 2 wounds. And as you can see, he's hanging in there on 1 wound. So he got away with it. He did have to evade, or jink, or whatever you want to call it. So he'll be snap firing next turn, which is a good result for the Eldar. That's really weakened his offensive capability for the close of the game. But at the same time, he's lucky to be alive, basically. Everything thrown at him. All of these, they even deactivate the Serpent Shields just to throw even more at him. all of this combined fire, and he still hold on. So the real MVPs to the Tyranid team have been those guys, just flying around, being an absolute nuisance, soaking up tons and tons and tons of firepower. There's going to be a very brief assault phase, and then we'll be straight on into Tyranid turn 5. Right, assault phase is done. Both those units taken out. Nothing in retaliation. So a bit disappointing there for the Tyranids. It's another 2 victory points for the Eldar. So the Eldar, at this stage, they've definitely got a healthy lead, but you've got to bear in mind, Tyranids, these flyers now, they're basically, they've now got a chance to sort of hit the Eldar even more. There's nothing with Skyfire left, and you've got to bear in mind, so in terms of victory points, there's 2 jet bikes there in a unit, there's 1 there in a unit, there's 3 there in a unit. This guy's worth 2 victory points, he's only on 1. There's a Warlord there. There's lots of victory points to be had for the Tyranids. These guys don't have their Serpent Shields anymore. So yeah, in terms of victory points, if the game ends at the end of next turn, it's probably going to be a sizable win for the Eldar. If it goes on to the end of turn 7 and these guys get 3 more rounds of shooting, and they bring down 2 units, realistically they have the potential to bring down a unit each per shooting phase. You got to say that, and you know, I said that's worth, they take out that's worth 2 for the Warlord. That's worth 3 if they take that out, because the Warlord is a unit as well, and it's a unit, so that's 3. This guy's worth 2. There's 5 just there. 6, 7, 8. You know what I mean? Like these could realistically go down if the game goes on. So that is the end of turn 5 for the Eldar. Let's see what the Tyranids do on their turn 5. Right, end of turn 5 for the Tyranids. We decided we're going to switch to end of turn reporting now, considering for the Tyranids there's only 3 models on the board. Just seemed the best thing to do, really. So down here, this guy just retreated and he's just secured Line Breaker. Over here, in the psychic phase, Catalyst cast, as you'd expect. In terms of shooting, this Hive Tyrant fired down and it killed the entirety of that squad, so that's a victory point there. However, the Farseer made some Lookout Sir rolls and then made his own armor save, so he hangs in there untouched, which is annoying because he'd been worth 2 victory points. He's a Warlord. Then this one who was snap firing because he'd jinked in the previous turn, fired back at that lone biker there, looking for a victory point. Didn't get any 6s, despite the fact it's 12 dice, twin linked. You just played at least, you know, a couple of 6s. Didn't get any. So, in terms of it, we've had a count up. In terms of units destroyed, if we go over to the Tyranid dead pile, having a look at it here. The Carnifexes, they're a brood, so they count as 1 point. Exocrine 1, Trigon 1, 2 broods of warriors. That is 5 in total, plus Linebreaker, plus Slay the Warlord. So that's 7 points. For the Tyranids, we killed the Crimson Hunter, that's 1. We killed that squad there, that's 2. And we killed that squad there, that's 3. Was there a 4th one in there? I can't remember. Was it just 3? Yeah, it's just 3. Plus Linebreaker 4. So that was the end of turn 5. The game ends as a 7-4 victory to the Eldar, which I think is a pretty respectable result for the Tyranids. You know, Eldar are a very, very powerful army, you know, scatter lasers everywhere and Wraith Knight and all sorts of stuff, you know, so 7-4, nice and respectable, even score. If the game continues, it might go the Eldar's way, but equally, these things are difficult to kill. They can keep flying around now. Those close combat units aren't going to have anything to do with them. So it's just these kind of units now, and they have the potential to fly around and kill more units and sort of potentially swing the score back in the Tyranids' favour. So if the game ends, it's an Eldar win. If it continues, might be pretty interesting. So on a 3-up, it continues. A 2. So that is GG. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Nice one. So a Eldar win then. So I think that's been a really interesting game, actually. It's developed interest. Started out with that sort of kind of false start when neither side wanted to commit. There's been some pretty unlucky stuff. There's been some lucky stuff. It's been a sort of bit like that. Yeah, 7-4. I'd say that's a pretty respectable score. No one's been tonked. And as I said, if the game continued, these guys pivot, fly down here. They can fire back, take out. That's worth 2 victory points. These, you can easily pick up 2 victory points there, victory point on offer there, victory point on offer here. So there's lots of victory points on offer for the Tyranids if it had gone to like turn 6 or 7. In terms of victory points for the Eldar, taking out those guys, they failed it all game, and now there's less for them, so that's not sure how likely that is. Taking out this guy, again, he's got 6 wounds, he's T6, he's quite far away, those guys aren't going to get near him. So if the game had gone to 6 or 7, I think you might have seen a Tyranid upset. But on a 2, it ends there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Great to have Scragguard on the channel. Really fantastic channel. Love playing against him. Love his fantastic armies. So we'll definitely have to arrange some more games soon. Do go and check him out. Link will be in the description, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon with another one. Bye for now.